Orfeo, the premier DPS buffing priest in Season 2. Not many can hold a candle to Orfeo's buffing prowess, but building him and using him correctly can be an expensive and daunting process. As always, check the timestamps in the description if you'd like to skip ahead to any particular section of this video. Orfeo's tale is one of woe and heartbreak, a classic tragedy. Orfeo was a miraculous musician and singer. He had the ability to charm all living things, even stones, with his music. Orfeo's instrument of choice was the lyre, and his legendary voice. Eurydice, on the other hand, was a stunning beauty and the daughter of the Greek god Apollo. As fate would have it, she too had fallen in love with the legendary musician and poet, Orfeo. However, Orfeo's tragic story begins on his wedding night. He and his betrothed, Eurydice, find themselves at the altar, professing their love to one another, finally to be married. However, seated within this joyous occasion is the beginning of one of history's greatest romantic tragedies. Hymen, the god of marriage, was present at their wedding. However, he refused to offer any words of encouragement or even crack a smile, a terrible omen for the future of their marriage. After the wedding, a shriek was heard from deep within the tree line. Orfeo rushed to the sound, only to find his love Eurydice collapsed onto the ground. She was dying, bitten by a poisonous viper. There was nothing that either of them could do. Orfeo held his wife near and dear during her last breaths. A brief smile, a tender kiss. Eurydice was dead. Tears rolling down his cheeks, he vowed this was not the end. Overcome with grief, Orfeo devised a plan to travel to the underworld and ask Hades, the god of death, to return his lover's soul to him. As he entered the underworld, Orfeo used his musical charm to quell the spirits and monsters who lived there. Everyone and everything was captivated by the tragic song of this heartbroken minstrel. Cerberus, the guardian dog of the underworld, stood motionless and let Orfeo pass. The infernal furies wept. Sisyphus stopped pushing his boulder, and the souls of the dead gathered to hear him play. It wasn't long before Orfeo had finally made his way to Hades himself. Orfeo sang and played his tragic song, reminding Hades that he too had once loved. Orfeo's eloquent speech and song had melted Hades' long-hardened heart. Overcome by emotions, Hades agreed to return Eurydice and her soul to Orfeo under one condition. All Orfeo had to do was lead Eurydice out of the underworld without looking back at her until they had safely exited. If he were to fail or look back once, her body and soul would be sucked into the depths of the underworld, never to be seen again. Furthermore, Orfeo could not tell Eurydice about this deal. Orfeo agreed, and the couple started their ascent. Elated to see her love, Eurydice ran towards Orfeo in joyous glee. However, Orfeo sharply scolded her and demanded that she follow behind him. His heart ached. He longed to see the face of his dearly beloved. Each of Eurydice's questions and remarks burned deeply in Orfeo's heart. Orfeo, I've missed you. Orfeo, your coldness pains me. Do you not love me anymore? Are you really my Orfeo? If you love me, why do you treat me so? However, Orfeo stood strong and continued ascending the pits of the underworld. Minutes felt like hours and hours like eons. Then, finally, a light at the end of the tunnel, the exit to the underworld. Orfeo sprinted toward the exit, grass beneath his toes and sunshine on his face. He had done it. Elated, he turned around to celebrate with his love. However, the heartbroken Eurydice stood just shy of the exit, crying and confused. Orfeo and Eurydice locked eyes in that moment, and the gates of the underworld opened wide and swallowed Eurydice whole. Oh, the feels. Well, now that we know about Orfeo's background, let's talk about how he works. Orfeo is the king of what I'd like to call the time for blood donation priests. But let's take a look at how Orfeo works and what makes him so much better than the competition around him. Before we get ahead of ourselves, let's explain how the skill Time for Blood Donation works. When you first look at Time for Blood Donation, it really does seem kind of lackluster. However, if you have the opportunity to roll for a great success on Time for Blood Donation, it changes drastically. Now you have a 50% increase in total attack power for the entire team. Amazing, really! But there's a catch. It's a boost equivalent to 50% of the priest's attack power. Normally, this would be a laughable boost.
Oh boy, a 200 attack power boost!
However, if you build your priest properly, you can stack over 2,000 attack power on your priest weapon alone. Now, what makes Orfeo so powerful compared to other Time for Blood donation priests? Let's take a look at Orfeo's passive ability. When equipped with his 6-star soulbound weapon, for every other blockchain, you get a 3-second buff that boosts the entire team's accuracy and crit rate by 45%, and a 50% boost to the entire party's attack power. So what that means is, as you spam Orfeo's blocks throughout the stage, you can expect about 45% extra crit chance, 45% more accuracy, and more than 100% extra attack power for your entire team. Well, why do I say more than 100%? Doesn't 50 plus 50 equal 100? Well, my I-11 Orfeo has more attack power than my I-20 Ana. Let that sink in for a bit. And the icing on the cake? Orfeo is a powerhouse of a healer as well. He's capable of healing an ally up to 50% of Orfeo's total HP every other block. I guess you better start hunting down those mononucleus ASAP. To make a long story short, to get the most out of your Orfeo, roll for double hero attack power on his weapon. Max out his inheritance, and aim for attack power sigils, but transition to mononucleus sigils as you find them. So what kind of teams does Orfeo fit on, and are there any alternatives to this adorable little monster? In story and challenge mode, Orfeo can pretty much fill for Drake in most compositions. Keep in mind that by adding Orfeo, you're committing to a boom or bust composition. Drake adds tremendous survivability to your teams, but Orfeo adds tremendous killing power to your primary DPS. Also, as a side note, you can team up Orfeo with a slew of DPS units and wreck face in Fergus events. Now, I know what you might be thinking. Wolfgang does provide an instant 100% attack power buff to mages, but nearly any DPS unit can benefit from a powerful Orfeo. If you want to have some fun, try to pair an Orfeo with a Spirit of Vengeance Harpia. You'll be killing things before they even appear on screen. As for challenge mode, both Ana and Loki love their Orfeo teammates. If you'd like to see how I used Orfeo with Ana, feel free to check out my Ana video after this one. But try to remember, with Orfeo around, your goal is not to sustain and wait out the bosses. Your goal is to wreck face in the shortest time possible, plain and simple. For Colosseum, on the other hand, Orfeo is less than ideal. Given the current pace of the meta, Orfeo is just too slow to get started. Remember, to get the most out of your Orfeo, you want to pop Time for Blood donation and your passives together. It's just too many blocks required to activate Orfeo's max potential. You're much better off with someone like Drake that can buff and put out massive damage with a single block. Now, what if you don't have Orfeo? Well, Nurse Spy and Cronet can function as successful Time for Blood donation priests, however, they can be slower and less consistent than their lyrical brother. The benefit of using Cronet, however, is that she adds a tremendous level of sustainability to your teams as well, albeit while sacrificing quite a bit of damage. Just as a warning, for those of you who are thinking of using Faust, on paper, Faust may seem like a great option, but I'd be very careful when using him. He's greatly hampered by his limited buffing range. While yes, you can get him to work, life may be harder than you had initially imagined. And that's Orfeo, a powerful hero born from tragedy. If you have time and resources, I'd highly recommend that you build this hero. As always, let me know in the comment section what hero you'd like to see in the future episodes. I read all the comments, so don't be afraid to speak out and let me know. Furthermore, if you like what you've seen here, consider checking me out sometime on Twitch. My streaming schedule is a little wonky because I'm moving, but stop by and check things out. I do Crusaders quest related giveaways, and I'm there if you want to ask any questions. Well, that about sums it up. Thank you all for tuning in, and I'll see you all next time. Best of luck, Captains.